Happy Friday and welcome to the latest episode of Mystery Blue Book. Only 5 episodes this season, but I debuted it, so tonight is the season finale of Mystery Blue Book, and I will be ending it with a very interesting case, I would say so. Also a case that I am actually quite close with because I actually did this case as a report for when I took my UFO studies um, course for certification. So remember, I am officially UFO certified, UFO studies certified. It's true. If you don't believe me, DM me. I will send you my goddamn certificate and show you. Not that anyone asked. Um, Without further ado, the Kelly Hopkinsville incident or encounter or the many names that it's called as I will tell you. The Kelly Hopkinsville encounter, also known as the Hopkinsville Goblins case or Kelly Green Men case. Green Men? Oh, it's this case is a hoot. Okay? It is a hoot and a half. Okay? Also, it is worth noting that it took place in Christian County, Kentucky. It took place in Kentucky. So I'll let that simmer for a bit because it's it would be as you would expect a UFO case from Kentucky to go. So with that, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking when I first heard about this. There ain't no way. But it's told in such lengthy and great detail that it's almost hard to discredit the people that were a part of it. So without further ado, Mystery Blue Book, the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter or incident as I have it written up there. The Kelly Hopkinsville encounter is a claimed close encounter with extraterrestrial beings that occurred near communities of Kelly and Hopkinsville in Christian County, Kentucky, United States, during the night and early morning of August 21st and 22nd of 1955. See, if I had done this earlier, if I did this last week, I was working last week on the 21st, but if I did this last week, would have been the 70th anniversary, right? Ufologists regard it as one of the most significant and well-documented cases in the history of UFO incidents, while skeptics maintain that there was no actual physical evidence that the encounter ever took place, and that the reports were due to the effects of excitement. The effects of incitement, it's in quotations, and misidentification of natural phenomena such as meteors and owls. Owls, you say? Okay. Well, I don't call this Mystery Blue Book for nothing. So, the alleged encounter was officially classified as a hoax in the Project Blue Book files by the United States Air Force. Well, look at that. Well, looky there. To talk Kentuckian, Project Blue Book themselves deemed this a hoax. As much as I like Project Blue Book, I also think it is an absolute fallacy. Because the shit that they had to just chalk up under, like, it was a hoax, it was fake, it was an owl, it was a weather balloon, is complete and utter bullcrap. Psychologists have used the alleged incident as an academic example of pseudoscience to help students distinguish truth from fiction. I haven't even started telling you about the case. And look at, we're almost 5 minutes in. On the evening of August 21st, 1955, 5 adults and 7 children, because in Kentuckians, they like to get busy, don't you know, back in the 50s. arrived at the Hopkinsville police station claiming that small alien creatures from a spaceship had been attacking their farmhouse and they had been holding them off with gunfire for nearly 4 hours. Now, right away, because I read this in an Alien Encounters book, same thing. I guess you'll probably hear it. One family met with another family because they were all friends, and they went over to like I don't know to eat, play cards or something. I'm sure they'll tell you. And one of them went outside and they saw some type of creature, and then it approached slowly, and then it just turned into this complete and utter cluster alien craze for 4 hours apparently. Now, if let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If 12 people, 5 being adults, 7 being children, although I don't know how, you might need to discredit the children depending on how old they are, but let's just chalk it up to they're all people. 12 goddamn people go to a police station and they all say that they saw something, they saw an alien creature on their property, on their friend's property. 12 people. Mass hysteria? Sure. But the details that they probably go in length to, they all agree to it. Like, what did you know what I mean? We're going to get it all into that, but I just wanted to throw it at you before we get started. Two of the adults, Elmer Sutton and Billy Ray Taylor. Tell me those aren't the most Kentuckian Southern names you've ever heard. Elmer Sutton and Billy Ray Taylor claimed that they had been shooting at a few short, dark figures who repeatedly popped out the doorway or peered into windows. The Kentucky News Era, the first paper to report the incident, increased the number of creatures to 12 to 15 and continues to be number most often reported. Yeah, continues to be the number most often reported. 12 to 15. It's not 12, not 15, but there might be 13 or 14 in there, so we got to put 12 to 15. Concerned about a possible gun battle between local citizens, 4 city police officers, 5 state troopers, 3 deputy sheriffs, and 4 military police. That's what it says. 4 city police officers, 5 state troopers, 3 deputy sheriffs, 4 military police officers from the nearby United States Army Fort Campbell drove to the Sutton farmhouse located near the town of Kelly in Christian County. Their search yielded no evidence apart from the broken windows and holes in screens, possibly the result of gunfire, which they told you they did. Ooh, people shooting at yourselves? Residents of the farmhouse included Glennie Langford, her children, Lonnie, Charlton, and Mary, 2 grown sons from a previous marriage, Elmer Lucky Sutton, John Charlie J.C. Sutton, their respective wives, Vera and Arlene. Is this typical in a southern Kentuckian home? All these people? I'm genuinely asking. Like I'm not making any judgments here. I'm just reading what it's saying. Arlene's brother O.P. Baker and Billy Ray Taylor and his wife June. They were friends though. They're not. They don't all live in the house, but it doesn't say that. It's just residents. I don't know. Both the Taylors, Lucky and Vera Sutton, were reportedly itinerant carnival workers. Itinerant carnival workers who were visiting the farmhouse. Okay, there we go. Carnival workers. They were carnies. Just say they were carnies. Like, what are we doing? It would have just been better if they just said they were carnies. Because when officers returned the next day, they found the house empty. Neighbors informed them that the families had packed up and left after claiming the creatures had returned about 3:30 in the morning. Dumb creatures returned again. Tell you what. The family claims received. Okay, so it's not actually. Okay, so it doesn't tell you much. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to my book that I read the incident from, and I'm going to tell you about it because it's way funner in the book than it is on here. It gives you explanations, but it doesn't actually tell you what it is that they saw and what they did. So I'm going to be right back with the actual incident. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see here. Table of contents. I'm sure I have it. Oh, it goes case number. Oh, that's going to be lovely. Let me look up in the back index here. Sorry, I was. This might be a little unprofessional, but I've always claimed in every video I'm not a goddamn professional podcaster, video maker. So if you have a problem with that, you can go somewhere. I also wasn't expecting him to not tell you about the case because when you hear about the case, you'll understand how nutty it is and why I had to do it. That didn't tell you anything. $120 to $123. Okay. Billy Taylor was visiting his neighbors, the Sutton family, at their remote farmhouse outside the settlement of Kelly, near the town of Hopkinsville. At around 7 p.m., Taylor went out to the farmyard to get a bucket of water from the well. As he returned to the house, he saw a strange disc-shaped UFO flying some distance away. It trailed an exhaust that seemed to be made up of gases of various colors. As Taylor watched, the UFO halted, then floated down to disappear behind a line of trees and apparently landed in a dried-up riverbed. Taylor hurried back into the house to let the 6 adults. There was 5 adults. See what I mean? And also, it said that the Suttons. It said that the Suttons were visiting the Taylors. This one says that Billy Taylor was visiting his neighbors, the Suttons. But the one online says that the Suttons were visiting the Taylors. See what I mean? It's already crazy. But now it's 6 adults and not 5. And there's several children of the Sutton family about what they had seen. They did not believe him, and Taylor dropped the subject. About an hour later, the farm dogs began barking loudly. Taylor and Elmer Sutton left their supper to go to the kitchen and look out across the farmyard. They both saw on the far side of the yard a most bizarre apparition. The figure they saw was about 3 feet tall, walking upright on short legs with very long ape-like arms. The creature's head was disproportionately large, with enormous pointed ears, bulging eyes, and a slit-like mouth. Even more unnerving was the soft silvery glow that emanated from its body. The being was jointed by several more that began to wander apparently aimlessly around the farmyard. Elmer and Taylor, being robust Kentucky farmers, don't you know it, picked up their guns and emerged from the kitchen doorway. Elmer shouted a challenge to the beings. One of the aliens then turned toward the two men and ran at them with its arms held above its head. So it is worth noting, okay, the aliens that they're describing are like goblins. But also, this particular classification of an alien is very unlikely to care or go after humans. At one point in season 2, I will go over the many clarifications of close encounters and the alien types. This one in particular does not. It's not known to even look over and see a human or care that a human's over there. Never mind, run full force at them. But let's continue. Elmer Sutton did not hesitate. He raised his shotgun to his shoulder and blasted the creature at point-blank range. The impact of the shot knocked the creature flying backward. It lay motionless on its back for a moment, then scrambled to its feet and ran off, seemingly uninjured. The two men went back into the house and slammed the door behind them, while the rest of the Sutton family crowded into the kitchen to see why the shot had been fired. Peering out of the windows, Taylor said he thought the creatures had gone, but then footsteps were heard on the roof of the house. Those aren't reindeer. That's not reindeer and Santa. Once more, Taylor and Elmer ventured out with their guns. As Taylor stepped out of the doorway, one of the aliens grabbed his hair in its long, spindly hands. Whipping around, Taylor shot the alien with a .22 rifle. It flipped backward over the roof, then seemed to recover and fled into the darkness. Elmer had meanwhile spotted one of the creatures squatting in the branches of a tree. He shot it, watching it jerk back from the branch, then float gently to the ground before it too ran off. Once more the men retreated to the house, this time barricading the doors and windows. For the next 3 hours the family remained terrified inside the house, while the men took pot shots at the aliens whenever they appeared. The family noticed that when hit by bullets or shotgun pellets, the aliens made a sound rather like a stone being thrown hard into an empty metal bucket. The strange glow of the creatures would increase whenever a shot was fired, only to fade quickly back to normal. So it sounds like they were impervious to bullets. In the small hours of the morning, the family and Taylor held a hurried conference, with no way of knowing if the aliens were still about, or if other farms and villages were already also under attack. The Suttons and Taylor decided to stay put was not an option. They decided to head for Hopkinsville police station in the hopes that the stoutly built station containing armed men was holding out. The women and children raced to the cars, while the men kept guard with their loaded guns. Once in the cars, the family escaped. The family raced to Hopkinsville to find Chief of Police Russell Greenwell enjoying a very quiet and uneventful night in the company of his deputy, George Bass. So imagine this hillbilly family. They're from Kentucky. It's all right, I can say it. This police officer is just minding his own damn business, and these 12 hillbillies, Kentuckians, if you will, storm in, and they're like, "We done seen aliens out of home the last 4 hours. Me and Billy Taylor here, we've been shooting at them. I'm shooting at them. Then when the bullet hit them, sounds like a metal bucket, and they glow." And the chief was probably looking at them like, "The fuck are these people on?" Right? The police found it hard to credit any truth to the story, But Greenwell knew Elmer Sutton would, well, as a calm, stolid, and tough farmer. Greenwell later commented, "Something frightened these people, something beyond their comprehension. Believing that it, this ter- ah, believing that the terrified Suttons and Taylor had encountered something real, Greenwell summoned the four policemen on duty together. They all set off for the Sutton farm." So that only says four people. It doesn't say, you know, five state troopers, four policemen, three military officers, and a partridge in a pear tree. All was quiet when the convoy arrived. There was no sign of the alien, nor the UFO when the riverbed was explored. The farmhouse and farmyard, however, did bear marks of an intense battle. Windows were smashed, doors unhinged, and surrounding trees and outhouses bore the clear marks of the shots fired during the siege. Next day, the police alerted the local WHOP radio station and reporter Bud Redwith drove out to the Sutton farm to investigate. Redwith found that the men were out working, Jesus. So interviewed the women, including the family grandmother, Glennie Langford. They then told him all about the events and helped him to produce a drawing of the creatures. When the men returned, Redwith interviewed them separately. They produced an identical story and picture. Over the next few days that followed, the story spread rapidly and gained in the telling that soon hundreds of people were flocking to see the site of the great alien battle. Understandably, the Sutton family quickly tired of having strangers wander over their farm, damaging crops and taking photos. Elmer blocked access and chased off sightseers and with threats. Despite coming in for endless teasing, some unpleasant comments, and a good deal of ridicule, the Suttons and Taylor never changed their story. They remained convinced that they had been under attack that night, and they had been lucky to escape with their lives. So as you can see, it was quite the tale. So now let's dig a little deeper here, right? French ufologist Renard Leclet argued in a publication that the best explanation of the case is that the residents had simply seen great horned owls. Owls, you say? Great horned owls. One thing that Project Blue Book will have you know, or insist that you think, is that weather balloons, the two biggest things that people saw instead of aliens, are weather balloons and gray horned owls. I doubt that neither are the case here, however. So, yeah. Sorry about that. Ufologist Jerome Clark writes that the supposed creatures floated through the trees and the sounds of bullets striking them resembled bullets striking a metal bucket, which I had said. Clark describes an odd luminous patch along a fence where one of the beings had been shot, and in the woods beyond, a green light was whose sound could not be determined. However, this description was consistent with foxfire, a bioluminescent fungus on decaying wood. First time I'm hearing it, what this is. Clark also wrote that the investigation by police, Air Forces, Air Force officers from nearby Fort Campbell, and civilian ufologists found no evidence of a hoax. However, Brian Dunning reported, the claim that Air Force investigators showed up the next day at Mrs. Langford's house had been published a number of times by later authors, but I could find no corroborating evidence of this. Dunning also observed the four military police who accompanied police officers on the night of the event were from an army base, not an Air Force base. It's worth saying the Air Force would immediately have you believe it was great horned owls. But if it's a different type of military, they're a little more open. Some ufologists compared the alleged creatures to gremlins, which have since been referred to as the Hopkinsville goblins. In popular culture, ufologist Alan Hendry wrote, "This case is distinguished by its duration and also by the number of witnesses involved. Project Blue Book listed the case as a hoax with no further comment." See, because Project Blue Book didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Project Blue Book wanted you to think that it was a hoax, that it wasn't real. And yeah, there's a lot of maybe it wasn't, but it wasn't great. It wasn't greenhorn. It wasn't great horned owls. Explanations. Psychologists Rodney Schmaltz and Scott Linfield cite the alleged incident as an example of pseudoscience and an extraordinary claim to help students develop critical thinking skills. Although contemporary newspaper stories report that all officials appear to agree there was no drinking involved, Schmaltz and Linfield suggest that intoxication may have played a part in the sighting. They were drunk hillbillies, and they saw something. Committee of Skeptical Inquiry member and skeptic Joe Nickel notes that the family could have misidentified eagle owls. The fuck are eagle owls? Never heard of an eagle owl until now. Or great horned owls. Oh, okay. Which are nocturnal, fly silently, have yellow eyes, and aggressively defend their nests. According to Nickel, meteor sightings also occurred at the time that could explain Billy Ray Taylor's claim that he saw bright light streak across the sky and disappeared beyond a tree line some distance from the house. Sorry, I had to read it like that. Author Brian Dunning noted that the height of the owls would be comparable to at least the lower end of the reported range of 2 feet. There are simply too many similarities between the creatures reported by the families and an aggressive pair of the local great horned owls, which do stand about 2/3 of a meter tall. Meter tall, sorry. And I'll close this with some popular culture fun facts. In the late 1970s, Steven Spielberg used the event as the basis for Night Skies, an unproduced science fiction horror film. The 1986 comedy horror film Critters is loosely based on the event. Oh, I didn't know that. In the Pathfinder role-playing game, the Hopkins, a type of green gremlin from the Bestiary 5 book, is based upon the goblins described in the event. The event is the basis of the Annoyance Theater's musical that came from Kentucky and Chicago. A February 2020 episode of the American television series Project Blue Book focused on the event. I think I remember that episode, but I didn't realize it at the time because, yeah. The Kelly community celebrates the event annually with the Little Green Men Days Festival. I love that. Okay. So there you have it. The Kelly Hopkinsville encounter incident, Little Green Men case. All right. Let's break down some evidence here, some possible scenarios. The only possible scenario is one, they saw aliens, they were little green men, and it really happened. The other scenario is that it didn't happen, which Project Blue Book wants you to believe, and that it was great horned owls. While I do respect the description and the lengthy detail that it could be great horned owls, there's just the matter of the fact is 12 fucking people all said the same thing. All saw the same thing. Yes, seven of them were children, but 6 of them were adults. That means something. You don't just round up 12 people and say, hey, we're all going to say the same story, right? Do I want to say it? I'm just going to come right out and say it. I don't care if I offend people. They're from Kentucky, okay? I don't think back in 1955 a group of Kentuckians had the common sense and knowledge to say, hey, we're going to make up a story like this. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. And also, if you say that they're drunk, well, what about the 7 children? Well, they're easily susceptible. They're children. Their opinions don't matter. Okay, then nobody. You know what I mean? Like, no one's credible. 12 people saw the same damn thing. They said the same damn thing. To me, that means something. That means more to me than Project Blue Book saying no, it's a great horned owl. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Kelly Hopkinsville incident. I do hope you enjoyed Mystery Blue Book and tonight's episode. Do stay tuned because I will be back next Friday for not. Well, Mystery Blue Book will be back, but not anytime soon. I will be returning next Friday with Mystery Unsolved, my, of course, original series that started it all, and plenty of cases there. So, once again, thank you for watching.